Show has time. Looks for Deutsch. Deutsch at the one into the end zone.
On to serve. Dug out by Bishop. This to the middle and slamming one home.
And free ball to the crossover. Eilertson will get the pass for Holly. Set up left side. Rusted down with the kill.
He'll play action now. Look to pass over the middle. It's intercepted by Cole Hebel. Intercepted by Hebel, and he brings it back.
Set it up, Fosston left side. Big kill blocked at the net. Kept alive by the Greyhounds.
Fetting's got room, and here's Bo Fetting. Fetting's still on his feet. Fetting's gone. Bo.
The Your Live Event Coaches Show is presented by the Hillsborough Economic Development Committee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Lancello with another edition of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. We'll be talking about the switch in North Dakota to 3 classes of basketball. That's going to take effect next fall. Brady Schwab, the athletic director of Thompson, will be here to talk about that with us. We'll also have some more basketball. Hayleigh Lautt, the coach of Hillsborough Central Valley, will join us. Kevin Copeman spoke with her after the Burros finished their regular season, and they've got a play-in game coming up on Friday night against Drayton Valley Edinburgh, and you can see that game on YourLiveEvent.com. We will also hear from Ben Hemberger, the coach of the Fosston boys basketball team, as they get ready for the Pine to Prairie Conference Championship game, which is coming up on Saturday in Erskine. Matt Robinson had a chance to talk with him. So we will have that for you, but we're going to start off with North Dakota High School Wrestling. I'll be speaking with MaKenna Belling of the Northern Cass girls wrestling team. She is the #1 seed in the 145-pound division for the ladies. But first, we're going to go to Chase Miller. He's going to talk about Central Cass wrestling.
Join us now, part of our YLE Coaches Show. That is Travis Lemar, the state wrestling tournament at the Fargonome coming up later this week. It starts tomorrow. That is Thursday through Saturday. And Travis, before we get to the duels and before we get to the individuals, I know it's been talked about for quite some time from a wrestling perspective. Before, the duels used to be on Thursday, then you kind of get through the individual portion. And now we've seen it more just at a standalone day with individuals, being Thursday and Friday. From a coach's point of view, has it gone a little bit more smoothly, so to speak, since the High School Activity Association has done that, or do you wish it still was Thursday with the duels mixed with individuals? How does that kind of work from a coach and wrestler's point of view?
As far as a coach, I was a big push for moving it to its own date after the tournament on Saturday. I know a lot of people are concerned about attendance and who's going to show and those kind of things, and I get that, but I look at the kids as individuals, and I'm a big believer in the dual sport portion of it. Love the dual piece. If you were to ask me what state tournament I'd rather win, the individual or the dual, I would pick the dual every single time. However, all the work that these kids put in and stuff like that, I would hate for their individual dreams to be crushed by an injury that happens in the dual. Those of us that are in the duals, it's going to hurt our teams if you lose a stud on the individual side to an injury or something like that. But chances are we've got somebody that we can kind of put in there to fill that void. So for me, I think it's gone really well. I think it's the right move for the kids to allow them just to focus on their individual piece and try and get their individual goals accomplished, through Thursday and Friday, and then reshift that focus as a team going into Saturday. So yeah, I'm big time in favor of the move.
And taking a look here, let's start with the duels and let's go in chronological order. Up in Carrington, the girls obviously coming in, Travis, with what you've been able to do before. We know on the girls' side, just seen it to continue to grow, to have more than maybe 3 or 4 girls in a Pacific weight class. We're seeing more teams now have the ability to field a full dual roster. Just recap what happened in Carrington to come out on top as East Region champs.
Yeah, it was really exciting to be able to be a part of the first ever region dual tournament, and especially to have the success that we had. Our girls came in focused, ready to roll. We knew that we were going to have some tough duels, just the way that we matched up with some teams. And I tell you what, with the way that our girls wrestled, I don't want to say there wasn't any competition, but by the time the score was done, it looked like there wasn't, right? It looked like we were the clear-cut #1 team. And that's just a credit to the way that our girls wrestled. we went in there with 2 opens because of injuries and stuff. And like, we were able to move some girls around and get favorable matchups for us, which helped us a lot. But yeah, no, the way that they battled and competed all day, especially in Carrington when you're wrestling against the Cardinals for a championship and that gym is full on one side of nothing but Cardinal fans, it made it really special because you knew that you were going to get like, loud crowd and all of that. So it was a great atmosphere for our girls, and to come out, victorious in their gym is always pretty special.
And the one thing that you mentioned that I was talking with a lot of wrestlers from the boys' side, Travis, was last year's region dual championship, just talking about the electricity, the atmosphere, and then also this year coming in with the bullseye on your back, not being, so to speak, the underdog, not being that team that might not get there. So what was Harvey kind of like and kind of having that, so to speak, bullet on your back and wrestlers that have been there, done that, trying to find their way to get back to a state tournament?
Yeah, we on the boys' side, last year was amazing. This year, we've gone through a lot of adversity, guys getting hurt, guys being sick, wrestling, almost every duel we've had this year, we've been down 1 or 2 of our varsity guys. And, our younger kids have had to step in and fill the void. But, going into regions, it was the healthiest we'd been all season. And, we were very confident in what we could get accomplished. But yeah, like, I told the guys, hey, there's no sneaking up on anybody. We're the number 1 team, and let's go prove it. And they did. We knew we were going to get a test from either Carrington or Pembina County coming through on that bottom side of the bracket. And we got Pembina. We've had, countless duels with them at region duels that have gone both ways. And this year it was our turn, and our guys made sure that there was going to be no challenge match with Carrington. And we took full advantage of being able to, bring home that championship trophy and have a weekend sweep as far as region duels went for the girls and the boys.
And then you get right back on the pine. And this past weekend, it was individuals. And again, to see the girls grow to what it has been in recent years, to have their own day, specifically in Grand Forks, and the boys going to the Region 2 side in Hillsboro in Class B. Let's start with the girls, Travis. Just how has everything continued to blossom? I know I've asked you this before, but how have you seen the participation numbers, not just within your own program, but also across the state, to allow to have duels, individuals, and be part of that state tournament here on girls' side? How did everything go, this past Friday in Grand Forks?
Yeah, no, it got to be a long night, but I think one of the reasons why it got to be a long night is because we've got girls that have become very good wrestlers. In the past, we've had some bigger tournaments where it's pin or be pinned, and it moves along pretty quickly. That's not the case anymore. We've got girls that are wrestling to 5-3 decisions and major decisions, and in matches that are going the full 6 minutes on a regular basis. So to see the growth on that side has been huge. The numbers, that they continue to double, across the state. I think if we can get one more year where it doubles again, I think then you'll start to see a plateau. And, I really do think you're going to see more girls out again next year, just because there were so many new to it this year that were willing to take that risk. And it's on such a larger scale now, with more teams having 1 or 2 girls involved, that, other girls in schools are seeing that, hey, we could probably do this. These girls are doing it. We could probably do it. So I expect another large, bump in the numbers again next year. Hopefully there's some more teams that can fill a dual lineup, so we can get more duels rolling across the state and doing those kind of things. But yeah, the growth and stuff has just been amazing. Friday we went into Grand Forks, and it's kind of a historic weekend, really, if you look at it, because it was the first ever East Region girls tournament. And then on the boys side, it was the last ever Region 2 boys individual tournament, right, with Class B going east-west. So we really wanted to make sure that we put our stamp on those kind of things. And if we get a chance to, be a part of history, we definitely want to. So for the girls, we were the first ever state champs. We wanted to be the first ever region champs too. And they went in. We had 15 girls that we entered into the tournament because you got to put in a couple extras and stuff, and we ended up with 13 coming home as state qualifiers. We put 5 in the finals, and left there with a 30-point victory over Fargo, which was, Tony and I have been friends for a long time, and there was at one point he was 2 points away from us, and it was like, holy cow, these guys just keep coming, just keep coming, just keep coming. And credit to him and his girls, to not just sit back and watch us walk away with it. They battled, but in the end, our girls did what they needed to do, and we won the matches we needed to win. Was what it really came down to, and got to be the first ever region champs for girls, which was pretty cool.
And there's been a girl that's had a lot of success, Katie Sinner, obviously, whether it's been from softball, whether it's been on the mat. And she even talked about how softball has made her a better hitter and a better softball player. Those sports utilizing certain elements to a different sport. We hear football and wrestling all the time. But from Katie's point of view, she was excited to see more girls, just out, particularly whether it's in her weight class or whether it's just across the way, because she's getting better competition, as you alluded to, Travis. What is Katie and maybe some of these girls who've been in the program for 2-3 years, what have they meant to Squirrels Wrestling?
I give all my credit to them, right? You get Coach of the Year awards, or you win trophies and stuff like that, and it's all on them. I mean, they came to me in the beginning, Katie and Shelby and Jordan and Cassie, my 4 seniors. And then I had, my daughter Grace, and they came and they wanted to get this thing rolling. And I said, give me 8 girls and we'll practice by ourselves in the morning. I'll do 2 a days. It's fine, because they didn't want to practice with the boys at the beginning. And they did that. They're our biggest recruiters. And just statewide, like you can see our girls, like they're willing to work with other girls. They're willing to recruit other girls to get them out. When we travel to a boys duel or a boys tournament, they're talking to the stats from the boys team saying, why don't you wrestle? Come on out, give it a try, do those kind of things. So our girls have been, pioneers, not only at Central Cass, but across the state. And, I look at like a girl like Katie, who's seen, softball growth, with adding more teams. And now on the wrestling side, the same deal, adding more teams and adding more individuals. And her competition level has spiked. I mean, it's gone through the roof. Going into this year, the toughest girl that we faced was Gracie Hoffman from South Border, and those two had great battles. And now this year, Katie's been challenged by all sorts of girls. The Carrington girl's been a good challenge. Fargo, obviously the White Shield girl who's beaten us twice, and is the number 1 seed, at the state tournament. And I think that's what has really helped the growth, is that you're seeing these girls being pushed from newcomers coming into the sport. So the rest of those girls that see these newcomers coming in and pushing the perennial powers, the ones that have been there, it really shows, hey, you know what, we can do this, we can get this done, and I am going to give it a whirl. I'm not doing anything in the wintertime, so let's go try this. So, but no, these girls have meant the world to me. All the success we've had, it's a credit to them. They make sure that everybody's working hard. They make sure that everybody's doing what they need to do, and I just can't say enough good things about our team, our program, kind of our family is what we call it.
And then you mentioned the boys, having a successful day and a historic day as well. From the Hillsboro side here, Travis, moving into state on the boys side, who have been some guys that have had to deal with maybe some injuries, and who are some of the wrestlers that you've seen that say, hey, you know what, it might not be a state, it might be getting to podium. Everyone's got a different goal in mind. Ultimately, you want to be a state champ. That's number 1. But sometimes you got someone like a Bowden Greenlee from Lisbon who just, it's tough to go up against him in that weight class. And, you're not to say everyone's wrestling for second, but, everyone's goals as a team, whether it's duels or goals as an individual, changes from team to team or wrestler to wrestler. So who's a couple individuals on the boys side here, Travis, that's had really good standout seasons?
Yeah, for sure. Josiah Crandall is one of our senior leaders. He's had a great year. He didn't have a great regional, but you know what? Sometimes you have that. You have a bad weekend, and you just want to make sure that it's never at the wrong time. And like I told him afterwards, and told my son too afterwards. I'm like, hey, would you rather have it this weekend or next weekend? And both of them were like, yeah, no, right. This was the time, I guess, if you're going to say you have a bad tournament. Cade OT, Cade's been a rock for us all year long. He's been great. Stone Thornton, coming back into the lineup after being injured almost all year, rolls into state as the 7th seed with really only about 4 matches at the 170-pound weight class. So really think he can make some noise at state. Dylan Sell has been hurt or sick, or he's just had a rough senior year, but he's healthy at the right time. He finished his region champ, back-to-back region champ for us. He's going into state as the 4 seed. And again, I think he can make some noise for us at the state tournament. Garrett Haugen, he's probably been our most consistent all year. Always in the lineup, always just doing what he needs to do. And he's going in. He his goal was to get on that podium, and if he wrestles to his potential, he sure can. Same thing up and down our lineup with our guys, and it meshes with our girls. We don't talk about team, we talk about family, and it truly is. I mean, you see our fans up in the stands all together. Our kids are, on the way home, it's, hey, where do you want to go eat afterwards? Stuff like that. Guys are hanging out together. Girls are hanging out together, doing things together. And I think that's why you've seen such success from our program the last couple of years, is that, it's really, they've really bonded together, really melded well together, and they want to see each other be successful. But at the same time, they want to make sure that they're being as successful as the other program. So they push each other too, which has been really awesome to see. And, rolling into state, we got 25 kids that are going to represent Central Cass on the individual side. And, it's going to be a busy 3 days, but it's going to be awesome. I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, it's been fun to talk with some of your wrestlers. And I know both from the girls and boys side, they said the program just seems to add a couple more wrestlers every year, which just makes us want to have a better season every year, Travis. So kudos to you guys out there in Castleton, and best of luck moving forward here at the Fargo, both from the individual and the dual portioning girls and boys Class B wrestling here.
Thanks a lot, Chase. And thank you guys for all your coverage that you give wrestling. We're not the most popular sport out there. We understand that. So anytime we can get any coverage, it's awesome. You guys doing our region tournaments and stuff has been just great. And, all the coverage that you guys provide our local schools for all sports is phenomenal. So thanks to you guys and everything that you guys do for us too.
Hillsborough Economic Development Committee provides information and support for small businesses. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
We've been talking about the state high school wrestling tournament in North Dakota. The girls tournament is getting started this weekend also, and MaKenna Belling of Northern Cass is one of those who will be competing at state. In fact, she's the number 1 seed in the 145-pound division. MaKenna, congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk about how your season has gone. 16-1 is a nice record to have. Was this what you were thinking might actually happen when the season started?
Yes, to an extent. So I thought I would be wrestling in Minnesota this year, and I came back to North Dakota, and I was wrestling here again, and the program just grew like outrageously, and I was very surprised that there were so many girls, and the competition is just getting so good, and it was a great experience this year, and not what I expected at all, not the growth or anything.
Where were you going to wrestle in Minnesota?
At Tri-City United. I wrestled there last year.
All right. So you're not new to the whole sport then?
No, I'm not.
Go ahead.
I've been doing it since about kindergarten, and I took a few-year break in middle school.
Kindergarten? Wow. Was your dad involved in wrestling, or brothers, that sort of thing? How'd you get into it?
I was a very hyper kid, and I needed something to keep me busy, and that's what my mom threw me, and it was the only sport during the time. So my dad was actually very against wrestling, but my mom was all for it.
That's a little different. Well, the stereotypical story that we hear anyway. You said you took a break for a while. What led you to get back into it?
The program was so our school did not have wrestling and we were co-opted with Central Cass, and it just got very difficult being younger and not and having to rely on my parents to drive me. And so like we physically just couldn't make it possible, but now we're able to make it possible again, and I've always loved it. It's my number one sport, and I was just able to get back into it.
What is it about wrestling that you like so much?
What it teaches you. It teaches you a lot of lessons. It teaches you a lot of your life lessons. It made me grow as a person and made me learn a lot of aspects of life. It made me keep pushing through things that I never wanted to push through. And it makes you figure out your drive. It makes you know your power.
I remember a wrestler a long time back who competed as an amateur and a professional said, the thing about wrestling is, if it is to be, it is up to me. It sounds like you agree with that.
Yes, 100%. That is very true.
So the season started off, were you just kind of beating everybody by pinfall or a lot of decisions? How did the season go for you?
I started off the season by having a lot of pins, and all my matches were pins, pinning them within the first period.
Wow.
And then throughout the season, it started getting harder. It started getting more, went into overtime with people and stuff, and people were stepping up their game.
Were these opponents from bigger schools necessarily?
To some, yes. There's most girls. So I practice with guys and girls. We have our teams conjoined, but there were whole girl teams coming out, and there was 20 girls on one team. So it was different.
Yeah. What is it like wrestling against a guy? I've heard the term tackling dummy used for wrestling for an opponent. My niece used to be a manager of a wrestling team when she was in high school, and she dated a wrestler, and that was the term they had, like a tackling dummy. What is it like competing in that kind of situation or sparring?
It's hard. You got to be a good sport because you was mainly yeah, your technique's there, but your muscle isn't really there, and you got to really push harder if you want to be able to compete with these guys. You got to push yourself more, and it was just, I don't know, it's a lot of comparison. I'll joke around in practice and I'll be like, well, I can't do that, I got the girl grip and stuff, or be like, got the girl muscle, because these guys are they're a lot stronger. But
And you don't take offense to that or anything?
no, it's all part of life. I know our body anatomy is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is what it is, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Going through the region tournament, how many matches did you have? And obviously you won all of them to get to this number one seeding.
I did not. I lost one against the Lisbon girl, Gracia Rolfe. She's a really talented wrestler. I had, I believe it was 3 matches. My first round, I had a bye, and then I wrestled a girl from West Fargo, and then I'm not sure where the other one was from. But first match, I got a pin in the first period. Second match, I got a pin in the second period. And the third match, I lost to the Lisbon girl and ended up getting pinned.
And I'm guessing that doesn't happen to you very often, or hasn't?
No, not yet this season.
Okay. So now you come in to the state meet, number one seed in your division. Obviously, your goal is to win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you envision matches before you go in, like what you're going to do or what kind of a move you want to start with, things like that?
Yeah, before every match, my coaches, they'll even ask me, be like, all right, what's your plan for this match? And I'll tell them my plan, and they'll be like, okay, you need a takedown. What's going to be your breakdown? What are you going to do if you're on bottom? And I just have to have those three things in my head right away before that match. And it's even to like learn new abilities too. Like if I know I can try new things on this person, they'll be like, hey, why don't you try going with something else? And I just have that list and I work on that list first. And then I just go to the opportunities that are given to me next.
Take what's given, so to speak, what your opponent gives you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that girl from Lisbon in your division? Is it possible you would face her again at state?
Yes, that should be, if she ends up winning all the way, that should be the finals match, me and her.
Okay. I take it you want to continue wrestling, say even into colleges, because that's now becoming a budding college sport when girls wrestling.
I've thought about it. I'm not sure on that one, just because I have some other plans for life after high school, and wrestling would be a huge role to take on, plus all the other things I would like to do. So I haven't really made up my mind on that one.
Okay. You certainly have some alternatives, I would guess, academically, because you're also academic all-state for girls wrestling. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What would you like to study or pursue as you go on past high school?
I have thought about becoming a nurse practitioner, and that is my number one goal right now, is I think that's what I'm going to lean towards for in the future.
Okay. Well, MaKenna Belling, thank you so much. Best of luck at the state high school wrestling meet.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And we'll continue with the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation after this.
Take a good look at Hillsborough. It's conveniently located between Fargo and Grand Forks. Hillsborough is a growing community with solid local schools with high graduation rates. There's an industrial park ready to host a new business. And there's Woodland Park with activities all year round. The Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation asks you to take a good look at Hillsborough when you're thinking about a place to put down roots and grow. For more information, contact the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation at growhillsboroughnd.com.
Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9 in Ada invites you to order your new Buick and Chevrolet vehicles from the Silverado, Trailblazers, Traverse, and Enclave. Lee Brothers is your authorized Chevrolet and Buick dealer, providing sales and a service to the area since 1975. For ordering your vehicles, talk with Mitch, Smurf, or Jay. Trust the experts who know your vehicles best and take advantage of great Chevy certified service offers today. Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9, Ada, 218-784-2000.
This is Chris from RDK Enterprises, your local precision planting dealer. We are less than 90 days until spring planting. 90 days. Are you ready? Is your maintenance plan in place? Do you have parts on hand? Are any upgrade options decided on and purchased? We can help. Spring will be here before you know it, and we will help you meet the challenge. Contact RDK Enterprises at planterdoc.com. That's planterdoc.com.
Welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. There's going to be a big change in North Dakota high school basketball next year. I had a chance to talk with Brady Schwab, the athletic director at Thompson, about the changes coming in 2023-24. Big news out of North Dakota late last week was that the North Dakota High School Activities Association voted to go to 3 classes of high school basketball starting in the future. Brady Schwab is the athletic director at Thompson. And Brady, will this start next school year?
Yeah, the plan is to implement next winter, so the winter of 23-24.
Okay. What was the consensus among some of the athletic directors in this area, like regions 1 and 2?
Yeah, you've got a little bit of a mix between those 2 regions that exist right now, where you've got a number of small schools in region 2. I know there's 3 schools that will move up to the new Class A, and then down in region 1, there's actually more schools that will move into that Class A. So, as far as a consensus, I think the fact that there probably needed to be some changes at some point in time, with in regards to basketball and maybe some other activities. But, the overall theme that I hear from at least schools that they're implementing it may have been a little bit aggressive in our opinion, with a lot of details still to work out and things like that. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and we'll forge forward into the new year with a little bit of unknown.
What was your thought about switching to 3 classes?
With the number of smaller schools and larger schools, there's obviously a need for a mix somewhere in the middle, and we probably fall in there. The one of the underlying concerns I have is just the number of teams in our division. With our new region having 6 teams, it makes it a little bit difficult in our class system, with postseason and adding in challenge games and things like that. I guess personally, I would have liked to have seen it at least be at 8 per region and look at, a few more teams into our division, if not more than that, and it didn't go that way for now. We've been told that there's probably going to be some changes to this plan moving forward. When or what those are going to be, we're not sure. But we'll, like I said, we'll do what we can within the changes as they come and how that affects us.
Okay, what would the new region with Thompson look like, at least as of right now?
Yeah, so Region 2 would be the holdovers from Region 2 would be Thompson, Grafton, and Hillsborough Central Valley. Okay. And then the 3 new teams coming in will be Devils Lake, Carrington, and Four Winds, Minnewacan. So, we're at 6. Like I said, Region 1 will have a lot of the similar teams that were in it, with the Northern Cass, Central Cass, Kindred, etc. But they'll add some bigs too with Wahpeton and Valley City and some of those schools. So, but as far as Region 2, those are the 6 that we've got, slated for next year, and then we'll, like I said, see if there's any changes that come down the pike.
I reacted because I was thinking in terms of travel to say Four Winds and Devil's Lake.
Yeah, it'll be more travel. I mean, it's Devil's Lake isn't too much further than a Cavalier or things like that. But
okay,
making that trip multiple times, whereas we only made that once in the past, having to do that with your boys and your girls and those things. There's definitely going to be an increase of travel, which is a difficult argument because I know schools on the western side of the state have been traveling for a long time, right? So that isn't necessarily an argument that holds up, but it is an argument on our side of the state just for the fact that it isn't something that's been done to this point unless you voluntarily choose to go travel and find games out of region. So I guess my primary concern on that is less the travel for athletes and more the missed time out of classroom and having to leave substantially earlier than we probably have in the past, and or getting back later on school nights. Some of that has caused a little bit of difficulty with scheduling, trying to find good nights to play those games without having to have all of those on school nights. And of course, you don't want to play every Saturday of the year, and there's only so many Fridays during that season. So we're working through some of that right now, trying to solidify some non-region things, and that's a work in progress.
Might you be interested in or looking into scheduling more games against Minnesota schools, against somebody like a Stephen Argyle or a Roseau, who you hosted just the other day, or Badger Greenbush Middle River, who the girls have played before?
Yeah, so we've got some of those teams right now slated to play. It gets a little bit difficult as a lot of those teams, have their schedules that they've played in the past, and some of the teams that they've played across the river, they obviously have verbal or contractual agreements with moving forward. So it's definitely something we're looking at. I know we're in a little maybe better position than some people just because of our proximity to Minnesota. But you know, the scheduling does get a little bit tricky. The seasons are a little bit different times, you know, than North Dakota with postseason and things like that. But definitely something that we'll look at, we'll explore a little bit more is the schools over in Minnesota.
What are the classes going to be called? Is it going to be A, B, C, or double A, and B?
Yeah, double A, and B. So so your big schools, your former Class A schools would be double A. Your new division, I guess, would be Class A, which Thompson will fall in, and then Class B will be a lot of the smaller schools that have been Class B, and you know will remain in that category. So one thing that'll be a little bit different for some of the teams in our area with that Class B will be the fact that they are bringing back districts and two districts making up one region. Class A will have, of course, 4 regions, and then double A will have the 2 regions, East and West, which I would assume they would continue to call the EDC and WDA, but you know, nonetheless, there will be an East and a West division there.
Okay. It's, I guess for fans, it's a bit like football because of enrollment or whatever. The classes change every year. This will just be another change.
Yeah, it'll be different, I think, from a fan's perspective. Just the fact that, you know, when you start traveling to places that are a little bit further away, you're going to obviously get your parents and family members that are going to travel, but you know, where are your students going to travel to? Are they going to be able to travel to some of those games, knowing that they're participating in their own activity, whether players or wrestlers or kids that are involved in different activities that could typically go to their practice, come back and go to a game. You know, that's probably not as feasible, you know, when you're talking about a little bit further differences. So I think we'll see a difference, you know, in terms of attendance at games, you know, from especially in road games or some of the teams that are coming in with what they bring for a fan base.
One more reason, I guess, to start working on Beam Me Up Scotty technology.
Yeah, it's you know, our relationship with Your Live Event has been, you know, great this year. We've got a lot of compliments on it. I know people that can't make games definitely appreciate you know, being able to see those games. It's kind of a double-edged sword for schools. You know, we enjoy having our games televised and people being able to see them, but of course at the end of the day it does hurt a little bit at the gate when we have people that may stay home on a cold January night, but that technology and you know, it's definitely a nice thing for those people that live, you know, in Arizona, or those people that may have a son and a daughter and not be able to travel, or young kids at home and not be able to get to that game.
Yeah, that is a good point. You do rely on ticket sales and popcorn sales and student groups, whatever, at the concession stand. Yeah,
there's a financial piece that plays into this just as much as the games and the different classes. And you know, it's unknown for us. I guess we're going to find out after a year or two, you know, what our gate looks like, what our concession sales and those types of things look like, and you know, what attendance looks like. I guess we're gonna a little bit unknown for us, but nonetheless, like I said, it's a plan we've been handed, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that our student athletes still have a good experience and still have opportunities to play high quality opponents and you know, do what high school athletics is all about. Get out there and try to become better people.
Exactly. Brady Schwab, athletic director at Thompson, thanks very much for the time. 3-class basketball coming to North Dakota next year, and we'll be following plenty of high school basketball in North Dakota this year as well, with the playoffs coming up. Just keep tuned to YourLiveEvent.com. Brady, thanks again.
Thanks, Joe.
And we'll continue with the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation, right after this.
When we think March, we think crop insurance. Hi, this is Bethany Rentz, crop insurance agent with IRE Insurance. We will be hosting a March farmer meeting to discuss the 2023 outlook, which will include examples using set spring MPCI prices and share strategies that are geared towards protecting your revenue and preserving your equity. Let us at IRE Insurance be your crop insurance partner. Join us for our meeting in Hillsborough on Thursday, March 2nd at 8 a.m. For location details, please visit our website at ireins.com.
You're protected and appreciated at IRE.
IRE Insurance is an equal opportunity provider.
In Hope, North Dakota, we aren't just a town, we're a community, one that you can be proud of, where you and your family can grow. With available jobs, affordable housing, a local golf course and pool, the Sportsman Club, and great educational opportunities, there hasn't been a better time to join the Hope community, ideally located between Fargo, Grand Forks, and Jamestown. For more information, go to www.hopend.com. Live, work, and play in Hope, North Dakota.
Buying a new home, but worried about the interest rate and terms from your bank? At First Class Mortgage, we'll find a mortgage that fits your needs. Shopping national banks and other lenders for the lowest rate and most affordable terms. Saving you time and money. So all you need to worry about is enjoying your new home. First Class Mortgage. Our expertise, your peace of mind. Put an expert to work for you. Call today.
We'll talk some more high school basketball now on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. Kevin Copeman had a chance to talk with Hayleigh Lautt, the coach of the Hillsborough Central Valley girls basketball team. The Burros will be going into a play-on game in Region 2 for North Dakota on Friday night. We'll have that here on YourLiveEvent.com. We'll have Kevin's interview with Hayleigh. But before that, we'll go over to Mac Robinson, and he spoke with the Fosston boys basketball coach, Ben Hemberger, and it's the Fosston Greyhound boys will be playing in the Pine to Prairie Conference boys basketball championship game Saturday in Erskine.
Welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Joining me now, Ben Hemberger of the Fosston Greyhounds. And Coach, you guys coming into, the end of the year here, got the end of the year coming up quick. But first, you got the Pine to Prairie Conference Championship that you guys got to play against Park Christian. I know you guys got a chance to face them earlier on in the season. What did you see against them, and what are you kind of expecting going against these guys?
Well, actually, we're playing Ada Borup, not Park Christian, but still.
You want me to yeah, you know what? I'll restart it. That's on me. I've been talking to Tom way too much today.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, let me go ahead and redo that one.
No problem.
All right, sweet. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, man. All right. In 3, 2, 1. And welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Mac Robinson here, sitting down with Fosston Greyhounds boys basketball coach, Ben Hemberger. Ben, for your guys going into a matchup that, is quite big around here as well. Fosston taking on Ada Borup West, in that Pine to Prairie Conference Championship. Got to be a monumental matchup for you guys going into Saturday.
Yeah, it is. I think our kids are looking forward to it. I know going into the year, one of their goals was to get into that game. We've accomplished that goal, and another one was to win that game. So we'll see what happens. I know it's going to be a huge task against a very, very good basketball team. We were able to, clip them here a couple of weeks ago when we played them at home in about a 10, 11 point ball game. And very good basketball team, very well coached, very athletic. They do a lot of things really well. And, we're honored to be a part of that game, but in order for us to be successful, we're going to have to play very well.
Well, and on top of that too, from the coverage of that game as well, crowd was pretty rowdy in that one at home. And so for you guys, you must feel pretty good with it being just down the road.
Yeah, I hope we can get a lot of Fosston fans over there. It's just, 12, 13 miles down the road from us over at Winnie-Mac. So, hopefully we have a good crowd. I know the crowd that we had here that Friday night when we played them was a lively crowd, to say the least. And, it's a Saturday afternoon game. Should be a nice day for people getting over there, and I'm sure Ada Borup will travel well. And, we'll have a pretty good girls game before us too. So hopefully all 4 teams have a good fan base that come and watch and see a couple good ball games.
And then on top of that too, you guys coming off of a loss, going up against Warren Alvarado Oslo, and then have a game against Goodrich Grigla tomorrow. Do you think that also is a good buffer for you guys to be able to kind of, take note of where you guys are at, where you guys can improve, and then also kind of use that to springboard into the conference championship on Saturday?
I sure hope so. That game last night up at Warren, it wasn't our best performance, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Especially that second half, we kind of, kind of did it to ourselves, I guess, if you want to put it that way. We just did some uncharacteristic things and let that one slip away late in the ball game. And so hopefully it's something we can learn from. Maybe a loss at this time of the year isn't necessarily a bad thing either, to get our guys refocused on what we need to be doing and what we need to improve on and those types of things. But we have another good Grigla team that we're going to be seeing tomorrow night, and we're going to have to play well. It's another road game. We're going to be road warriors here the rest of the way, except for one game against Thief River next week. But so a lot of challenges ahead of us here before we get to Saturday. But so hopefully, last night, today's practice, and then tomorrow can just kind of, refocus our kids and refocus us coaches as well, and on what we need to do to get better and continue to make those strides that we need to make this time of the year.
And I know that there are some teams that, might only have a couple of games left for you guys. You guys have 6 games left on the schedule, including the Pine and Prairie Conference Championship on Saturday, which you can look and view it on yourliveevent.com. But, for you guys, do you think that adds on a little bit? It gives you guys an added bonus, for you guys to be able to kind of carry that momentum into the postseason as well, playing this many games this late, especially against quality opponents too.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It's one thing to be playing a bunch of games late, but every team that we play is a tough ball game, with Grigla tomorrow, Ada Saturday, we got Cass Lake on Tuesday, then we got Thief River and Holly, and we think we close up with Clearbrook. And in all those games, if you don't come ready to play and bring your A game, it's going to be a tough night for you. So hopefully, that'll be a good thing for us, to keep our kids focused going into postseason play, because you need to be focused once you get to that point for sure, because it's either be focused and play well or go home. And so hopefully these next handful of games here will help with that, and we'll be battle tested if nothing else, going into postseason here, because these are all high quality teams that we're going to be seeing.
And then on top of that too, obviously, like I mentioned, we're heading towards the end of the regular season here. Where do you think that your team needs to grow the most, and where do you think your team has grown the most at this point?
I think as far as where we need to grow the most, I think we still are looking for that complete game. Sometimes we tend to lose focus at times. I think last night we did that, especially on the defensive end last night. We had a hard time getting stops when we needed to get stops with a 3 or 4 point lead late in the game. And, a lot of it wasn't necessarily execution. I think it was more so just lack of focus and losing a cutter underneath the basket or turning our head and they cut behind us and whatever it might be. But, so things like that, I think where we've grown the most, I think, it's hard to say. We're a pretty balanced team, I guess, as far as, offensive firepower goes. But, I like how we started the year, we weren't shooting the ball very well. We have a pretty good shooting group of kids. And, the last several ball games and last night included, we did shoot the ball pretty well. So I like that. Offensively, it wasn't necessarily our best game last night. But if we can continue to make strides there, moving the basketball, attacking the defense, playing inside out, and those types of things, I think we're a pretty dangerous team.
All right, Coach Ben Hemberger of the Fosston Greyhounds. And again, those Greyhounds, they play against Goodrich Grigla tomorrow night. You can watch them on Saturday in the Pine and Prairie Conference Championship right here on yourliveevent.com. Coach, thank you so much for joining me here on the yourliveevent.com Coaches Show.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mac. Appreciate it.
Hillsborough Economic Development Committee provides information and a support for small businesses. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Back on the post-game report here on yourliveevent.com as we get a chance to chat after this one. Thompson gets the victory 81-29 over Hillsborough Central Valley. We wrap up the regular season tonight for these two squads and look forward to the Region 2 bracket coming out as we visit with Hayleigh Lautt, head coach of Hillsborough Central Valley. And Coach, we were just chatting off the air about the game, but some of the goals you wanted to capture tonight, you were able to. Others you weren't. Well, knew that very well. The hill was going to be a tall one to climb. The kids, though, in that third quarter, showed the spark that you would like for them to show all the time.
Yeah, I thought coming out of that halftime, the girls came out confident. We talked about they looked more relaxed out there, and they just played smooth. They were moving the ball. I remember when we got out, the first shot we got up was the ball movement was amazing. It looked great. And so we talked about that's what we're aiming for all 4 quarters, not just one quarter or a half. We want to put that all together, and the girls are capable of it. It's just going to take time, and they're getting there.
Yeah, and it just the confidence factor. I know Elisa talked about confidence, and I know that one of the songs that plays during the warm-ups is Confident. What's wrong with being yeah, and that's part of it, and they're finding moments of it. It just has not reached its full potential yet.
Yes, like we said, we've got to be confident all the way through. Not so timid. They're capable of doing it. They make some really good moves out there, and so now it's just getting them to keep playing and kind of get that experience, and there's just been so much growth with that, so that's all I can really ask for right now.
The girls wrap up the regular season, and I'm sounding like a broken record, but it was a doubled up win season. Yes. You got to 4 wins this regular season. 4-17 is where the record sits. One of the goals is to be able to host a playoff game. If you're going to be in that play-in, host it, and you're going to get that on Friday night.
Yep, yeah, that was huge for us. I know the girls were excited. They mentioned it right away. They're like, hey, we doubled our wins. They're excited about it. They know that they're improving. And that's something they really need to see, because it can get hard. It's a long road, but the girls see that they're improving, so they're not giving up, and I know they're going to fight through it, and it can only go up from here. So I'm really proud of the girls this year. They've done what I've asked, even more. They put a lot of work into it, and it's exciting to see them kind of grow from the start of the season.
Absolutely. So to be determined, it looks like maybe during Valley Edinburgh. Of course, bracket comes out. Doesn't matter. You're going to host. So Friday night, hosting a play-in game, and then that goal is to win so that the girls can get to the Betty. And how big for the program it would be. I think someone said 5-6 years since you last been. Yep. How important it would be to do that for this squad.
Yeah, that will be huge for them. So that's going to be our focus this week, get that win, and I can't imagine what it will do for the girls. That they've earned it, and it's their time now, and so I'm excited for them to show up on Friday and just play their hearts out.
Hayleigh, good luck to you and the team as you get a couple days to practice and prepare for Friday night, and good luck in achieving that goal, and hopefully next Monday on President's Day you got another date with Thompson. But congrats on the season, the success, and what you were able to continue to grow, and best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you.
You got it. Hayleigh Lautt, head coach of Hillsborough Central Valley.
And that will do it for this edition of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. So many things on the plate for next week. The North Dakota State Boys Hockey Tournament is going to get underway next week, Thursday. We hope to have an interview with the coach from Fargo North or South. They are in the final 4 of the East teams, as they are having the Eastern Division playoffs finishing up this week. Also, we hope to have an interview with a North Dakota Region Girls basketball finalist, also a Pine to Prairie Conference basketball champion, boys and girls. Also, somebody from the area could do well at the North Dakota State Wrestling Championships, boys and girls. We hope to have an interview with them. And there's also Minnesota girls basketball playoffs about to get started. We'll get some previews there. And so much to deal with. Enjoy everything. Hope your favorite team does well. I'm Joe Lancello. We'll talk to you next week on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation.